Hey guys, Ian through the Rad Company, and welcome to an updated studio walkthrough and tour. It has been 2 weeks since the OG team has been here, and we've had actually quite a bit of time to utilize our new space. And so what we want to do today is give you just a walk around and to show you how everything ended up turning out, how we're currently using things, and maybe talk about some things that we can do in the future, right, to continue to make this place better. So with that said, yeah, pretty laid back. We're just gonna start walking through stuff and checking things out. All right, so our first stop on our revamped studio tour is going to be the Levra corner. So previously, this was kind of a messy corner, I'll be honest with you. It had some of our Saber cabinets here that really were just cluttered with stuff and junk, and we didn't make the best use of the space. So the Levra here is going to help make way better use of the space and also keep us organized. So how this works, these things open up and you essentially have yourself a closet. So now I can walk inside here, I can grab chemicals as needed. So what we're doing here is storing all of our gallon sizes, 5-liter sizes, a lot of our chemicals. And this is kind of like our refilling area, right? So we'll take our chemicals here, take it over to those cabinets over there, refill our pints as needed. And this is so much better than what we used to deal with. It was literally like chemicals stacked deep and pints and all sorts of different messy stuff. So now we have some organization here. So this is really cool. Same thing on the other side. IK sprayers down below, more IK sprayers up here. We're gonna have more 5 liters as they kind of come in. So we've also took some of Matt's advice with, we're not trying to fill up every area, right? Like just because we have an empty cabinet or a drawer, whatever it may be, we're not trying to like stuff that full just because it's empty. We're trying to leave room for growth because we're gonna continue to grow into the space. So opening up this side over here, we've got some Ego products. So I got Ego blowers, we have some of our lights down there, we have the generator. Over here on this side, we have some fittings, and we'll probably fill this with more stuff down the road. But again, we're trying to leave some room for growth. So, and then back here in this corner, this used to be the corner of like no return. If something got thrown into this corner, that was not a good thing, right? It would just be trash and junk and all sorts of stuff. So this has been cleared out now. We just have, you know, a few accessory lights and stuff. The Levra, awesome. Seriously, it's super cool. If it fits in your space, like if this is something that you can see in your garage or if you have room for it in a shop, totally worth it because it will help you be more organized and you're ultimately being able to use the space more, right? Because look at the depth of this. If we were to have just normal horizontal shelves going this way, we're reaching back into things, right? We're not having full access to everything that we need, whereas now we can walk in here and have perfect use of that vertical space, and we can close this off, make this nice and clean, and so really, now it's just it's clean looking. It just looks awesome. So next stop, Saber cabinets. All right, so our next stop here is going to be the Saber cabinet wall, also a different backdrop. So previously, this was like a nothing area. We had our lift just a couple feet that way, but this wall was just nothing. There was nothing here. So what we did is actually create a new wall because this building it's like a trapezoid, right? It's got these angled walls. What we wanted to do is build a kind of a faux wall to be able to mount cabinets on so we have more vertical space there, and also be able to create, again, another backdrop so we can now use in videos and stuff like that. So what we have up top here, Saber cabinets below. We actually ended up wrapping these countertops here because we had the stainless steel previously, but that stainless steel had been here for years, and so it got really scuffed up, it got really scratched up, and we didn't think about PPFing the stainless at that time, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit with the Russo cabinets. But we ended up wrapping this in some kind of like metallic, wrap of some sort, and it looks pretty good. Now, before we jump into what's in these cabinets, this is kind of a cool thing because back here, we created more storage space with this wall, and you can kind of take a peek back into there. This is where we had a lot of extra totes and stuff like that we didn't have a home for. So, for example, during TRCMA, we had a bunch of these cool new Flex totes show up for our friends over at Flex, and we had nowhere to put them, right? They were just kind of sitting here in this space. And we also had some extra Husky cabinets that we used for certain videos that we needed to find storage for as well. So basically, we created a nice little storage cubby here, which is awesome. So Now, as far as how we're using these cabinets, the idea behind this cabinet setup here is to not overly clutter things, and again, leave room for growth and leave room for, you know, expansion. So what we're doing is putting stuff that we're testing in these cabinets, you know, thinking about bringing onto the rag company, and then eventually, you know, once they pass all of our tests and we've onboarded them, they'll move over into the Russo cabinets, and it's kind of just like a nice, clean way of saying, here's the separation, right? So if you're a company that we're currently looking into, it's good to be in these cabinets, right? But it's even better to, you know, get to those cabinets over there, because that means that we've sealed the deal. So just opening up some of these right here, you can see leaving room for space, keeping these empty. The Saber cabinets are not bad cabinets. We actually really like these cabinets. It's just the Russo cabinets are significantly better. I would say that these are a nice kind of just middle ground, right? They're really well built. They look really nice, but I wouldn't say they are, you know, a massive step up above like Husky, in my opinion. But we have batteries here, and then in this far cabinet right here, we're going to be putting some like a charging station essentially. So we're going to put a lot of extra stuff where we can charge batteries just in this particular cabinet. So all these drawers and stuff still have just things from the install when we first did it. But again, for the most part, a lot of this is empty, which is nice. They've never been empty before. So this is kind of like the, you know, the first time of being able to start fresh and feel cleansed, because, you know, who knows? And maybe another month or two, we'll be back to our old ways, maybe. Maybe not, I don't know. Next up here, we're actually gonna go across the way over to our new sink area. So this place has been completely revamped. It may not look super exciting on camera, but let me promise you, it was not super exciting before. So this area right here with all these shelves used to be where we stored all of our microfiber towels in totes. So we had a bunch of totes. We put towels into there, more towels than we knew what to do with, and this place was always cluttered. It was always messy. All the totes were broken. The lids weren't working properly. It was messy. It was not fun, and nobody liked rummaging through the totes to find like the towel they were looking for. It was just a messy system. So we've cleared all those out. We've kept these open. We're not really sure what we're doing with these yet. We might get rid of them. We might keep them. Yeah, still kind of unsure. But over here we have the drinking fountains. We have our, you know, our little, you know, water dispenser here, which is really cool. But this whole corner got completely revamped. This used to be one continuous closet where we had our washer and our dryer and our sink, but it was like a closet in a dorm room, right? Like we literally were filling that with everything we could, trying to throw clutter and crap that we didn't want to see into that closet, and it just sucked. And so we had a really nice washer and dryer set up, but we never really liked using it because it was also cluttered here. So what we ended up doing was actually cutting this in half here, making this area its own for just the washer and dryer, and then closing this off and then building out a new wall to where we can actually better use a sink. So we have our kind of our first stop here at the Russo cabinets, where we have some storage up top here, which is really cool. We're gonna store rags to riches, as well as our ripping rags, measuring cups, you know, the Kosh Chemi, measuring cylinders and whatnot. And this is kind of our little dilution center, right? So we can come here, use the sink as needed, fill up with water, and then mix our chemicals right here on the spot. And yeah, this is just so much better than what we were doing before. And so anyways, so this is pretty cool. Stainless steel countertop that we still have to PPF over here, because stainless steel, I mean, really realistically, if you can, just some advice, if you ever are doing new countertops, whatever it is, try to PPF them as soon as you possibly can, because this stuff just marks up super easily, and it's kind of just a pain to try to remove those scratches. So more storage over here with the Russo cabinets. So we're gonna probably, again, kind of delve into this being our mixing station and our extra tools for working on things around this area, like our CR spotless, and we might have some extra wrenches over here, just things that we know that we're gonna be using constantly. And yeah, I think that's it. But built-in sink is super nice. We've never had this nice of a sink before. It was like a plastic sink previously, so we're really excited to be able to use this. And we also have some more big storage down inside here as well, which is really cool. So again, leaving things open for space for further expansion. Our bathrooms over here, I don't need to show you that, but we will wrap around to the IK wall really quick, and then we'll dive into our X tool room, but now is our air compressor and CR spotless and kind of pressure washer room. So really quick, this hasn't changed. This has stayed the same. So we still have our IK sprayer wall here. This is kind of our grab and go stuff. So if we're doing a detail and like, we don't necessarily want to have to show the branding all the time, or we're worried about showing you guys the bottle, like let's just say we're doing our own cars here, or this is something where, okay, we need chemicals just to really quick to clean something, we're pulling from here, right? So we have a combination of PNS products, we have Koch Chemie, we have Sternagloss, we've got some products that we're currently testing, we've got G-Technica here in the mix. It's all just kind of grab and go stuff with some labels on it, and we still need to curate this a little bit more in the future, and we'll probably figure out a better system for this, but in the meantime, this is just our grab and go chemicals. So next stop here in this room. So before we open this door, I do want to point something out, is that we've always had air, right? Air lines to be able to tap into around the building. But Mike apparently said how he did it was pretty janky, or how Levi did it was pretty janky. So he had to come and try to fix some things. And so use better Prevost fittings and things like that. But essentially what all this blue piping is that you're gonna see on the outside is just everything from our air compressor. So it allows us to tap into a line here and be able to grab just a hose and use this for using our ultra air blasters, or compressed air, or even air tools if we're using like an air tool such as like a Rupes air tool, or something that's pneumatic like that. So that's what all the blue piping is all for our air. So let's open up the closet. So this right here has changed quite a bit. So previously this was a full, I don't even know how to describe this. It was a tool closet, tool room, but also our chemical mixing station. Visually, you guys will be able to see this on camera, but it was a chemical station which we had kind of big vats of chemical that we ran into our wash bay via lines, right? So we would tap into the air compressor and we'd be able to actually use chemicals in a large batch, right? Like let's just say it was bead make or whatever it was. We had individual sprayers, right, on their own hose for each one of those. And really cool, right? In a probably normal detailing environment, that would be something that'd be used every single day. But because of the type of content that we shoot and because of what we were doing here in the studio, it wasn't getting used often. And when we did use it, people were confused because it was like, what's that hose? What are you using? What are you spraying on the car, right? And then we'd be like, oh, we probably should explain that. Whereas now it's just easier to have a bottle in our hand that has a label so you can see exactly what it is without having to explain everything. So that system is now gone, so we no longer have that. The Saber cabinets that were once in here are now out there. And so really, this was just a very good way of cleaning up this space and decluttering everything. So back wall here, OG spec pressure washer system, right? This should probably look pretty familiar to maybe most of you guys watching this. So you have the Krenzel up here up top, and then this is all going to be, hardline with more, Prevost fittings and whatnot to go into our CR spotless. And then we have our CR spotless that now has a cool valve that's going to be able to go into our bucket filling station, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But Mike, when he was here, he modified some things to make this just way better than what it was before, right? So our lines going out to our outdoor wash bay have been improved. Our lines going to our indoor wash bay have been improved. Obviously, we've modified the power cable here on the Krenzel to be able to make that shorter. But this is still going to go into our CR spotless, which we replaced more filters on just recently. And then below that, this is where we're storing all of our buckets, right? So we have our Yeti buckets, we have, our inserts and stuff like that, as well as them being on the grit guard dollies. So it makes things really easy. We can just wheel everything out for a wash and it just comes right back in, makes it nice and clean. So water right here, on and off. So we make sure that that's set to on. You can see everything gets pressurized. Then back over here, we have our power button. So we can turn on our power, get that going, check our TDS here monitor on the CR spotless, and then we can choose whether or not we want to run spotless water or non-spotless water with these valves here. So we can control that. And then this is going to allow us to obviously open this up, It's going to feed back into the pressure washer setup. Then the outlet here on the DI is going to go up back into the pressure washer, which is going to give us DI water coming out through the Krenzla. And then this is also going to open this up to give us DI water if we want this on the bucket filler section as well, right? So we can open this up and then turn that on as needed. So it's really cool. It's not overly complicated, but like, as you can imagine, it will take a little bit of getting used to compared to what we previously had, because I think all we had before is just like turn it on, like, and that was it. Now we have a couple more switches here to we can choose between different settings. So over here, oh my gosh, it is crazy. Like, I'm still not getting used to this space because it was so cluttered before. Like, we had to walk through here like this. Seriously, it was that tight. So now we got rid of our old California Air Tools setup on our compressor, and now we have this new Werther air compressor. This thing's wild, dude. It's like, it's no louder than like your refrigerator maybe making ice in like 2024, like a new modern refrigerator. It's very, very quiet. It's not loud at all. And it's really, if you think, packs some serious power. So a little bit bigger, right? Our old one used to be a little bit more horizontal and it was lower. Now we have a little bit more vertical room here. But again, we cleared out all of our old cabinets. So the Saber cabinets are gone. All of our old pegboard stuff is gone. I think Matt threw it on the trash. What a waste. What a waste. All of that stuff could have been sold and kept or given away and ended up in a dumpster.
I think it ended up in Josh Petro's trailer.
Maybe it ended up in Josh Petro. I hope it ended up in Josh Petro's trailer. So, and then also inside here as well, we have our some more Ego products, Ego pressure washer for on-the-go washes if we're doing anything mobile, or if, let's just say, we're trying to shoot somewhere outside the studio, right? That pressure washer, freaking awesome. We can fill it from a bucket, or we can feed it from a bucket, and then we have the Ego vac in here. But here's how the air compressor works, right? Very simple. Goes straight up through this one line. So this line is our outlet line right here, and we have a shutoff valve there as well if we want to, but that's gonna open that up and it's gonna pressurize all of the lines that I was talking about previously that run through the building. So cool. It's much better than it was before, so I'm pretty excited about that. All right, next stop is the wash bay. Isn't that satisfying? So this is our new revamped wash bay. It may not look a whole lot different to maybe some of you, but trust me when I say that functionally, this has changed our lives, seriously. So if you remember, we used to have a capture mat in this area, and that sucked. Seriously, it was the worst. We hated that thing because while yes, it made sense, and yes, it was probably good for the environment in some way, shape, or form, it did not make our lives easy because we were constantly washing in a puddle, right? So that means we're washing a car, but we're stomping around in like inches of water. So every single time we made videos in here, like Satisfying Saturdays, Wash Wednesdays, all sorts of stuff, dude, our socks would be soaking wet. Jimmy would be in here, his socks were wet, my socks were wet, Levi's socks were wet. And you would think that would be like, okay, well, there could be worse things. It was not fun. We hated it. And because it's not just, your feet aren't just being soaked with water, it's the fallout remover, it's the APCs, it's the wheel cleaners, it's everything that was creating that soup. So that's gone. We've taken that, we've tossed it. I don't think we tossed it, but I don't know where it went. No,
actually. We did throw it away.
Oh, we did throw it away? Okay, so we did throw it away. So we had to kind of figure out a creative idea to cut into the concrete in a way that would make the most sense for what we did. So what we ended up doing was cutting into the concrete, pouring essentially a new slab of concrete that was now angled, right? So there's a slight angle to it, and now we have a channel in here. So think of like I think it's about 18 inches deep all the way to about like, I don't know, a foot deep or something. And so it kind of travels downward into now a pump, right? Which is gonna pump out our water. So underneath the Swiss tracks is, angled concrete, cool little tunnel in here with some grading. So all of that runoff now in a wash is gonna go straight down into that, go out a pump, and then be able to pump that outward. And it's only a 1% grade, so when I'm walking on this, I don't even notice that there's a grade here, but it's just enough to be able to provide drainage because beforehand, It was horrible. We hated it so much, and people don't realize how much we hated it, but now it's nice, right? We're no longer splashing around. We can stand over the Swiss tracks. Everything's gonna drain out, and life is good. And if there's ever any like large particulates or clumps of dirt or rocks or whatever it is, we can simply pop up the Swiss tracks, pull off the grating, take a shovel, take a vacuum, you know, basically pull all that stuff out once it dries, and then continue back on where we were. But realistically, we're probably not going to be rinsing off like muddy cars in here. We'll do that outside and then pull them into here. So sorry, long tangent on that, but like that's how important it was to us. So coming from the top here, we have some new lines from Obsessed Garage here. So we have new pressure washer lines going into the OG spec Mosmatic gun with the wand, the handle, the tip on here. Gun's really nice. I really dig this thing. Feels really good. The swivel is really nice. I think in general, let me pull this thing out of here. I think in general, I liked the MTM gun that we had, like the Aqualine guns. I actually really do like those guns. I think those are fine, but this does have a better swivel system on the bottom. So like basically if we were ever running a gun like this with a hose that was on the ground, all it's gonna take for you is to really walk this thing out, allow the swivel to do the work to keep any of that hose from binding up and whatnot. So it's got this nice swivel, but what they also did is shorten the hose. And we also have, if you look up, we have this boom pole, right? So this allows us to walk all the way around the car. And previously, when we had our trussing, that was lower because we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. This boom pole would always hit this trussing, and it was such a pain. I don't know why we struggled with it for so many years, but we did. So this is really nice, massive improvement here. This just goes like that. Voila, we're done. Now, one of my favorite things that we've added, which I didn't know was gonna be my favorite thing, but now it is my favorite thing, the freaking bucket filler, dude. The most useful thing that we've added here, because long gone are the days of us picking up buckets into a sink, filling them up with 5 gallons of water, yanking them out, walking them over. It led to a back surgery for me, right? I don't wanna do that again. This is amazing. So now we can simply roll those dollies out here, put them right up to this, open this up, fill up our water, shut it off. And it's nice because this is like a quarter turn system or like a half turn system. So it's not like I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. It's just this nice, smooth, open, close. I have the water off, so it's just kind of what's left in the line there. But yeah, laugh all you want, man. This thing's awesome. Next up here, we have our foam cannon holders. We kind of did this from kind of an aesthetic point of view, but also because this is just way better than what we had previously, because we used to have the shelving units as well as those lines I was talking about from the chemical feeding station on the other side of this wall here. So that's what all that was right here. So we've cleaned all that up, and then now we have our new foam cannon holders. So this is going to be a perfect detail USA and Obsessed Garage collaboration on the little wall mounts here. So this is super cool. This just attaches like that. And we have our PF22s here ready to rock and roll with different chemicals in them. And we can obviously swap those out as needed. So we have that. And then this here eventually, I believe we're still in talks of whether or not we're gonna wrap this wall. Like we might actually do like a cool wrap of like a textured finish, or just something that looks maybe a little bit more industrial or cool, because the white here is super tough because when we're shooting certain cars, the white gets blown out, right? And so the highlights in a video get blown out. We have to adjust and compensate on the camera, and sometimes it doesn't look as good. So having something a little bit more contrast here on the backdrop may actually make a vehicle look better as well. And so the other thing in the wash bay, hex lights are gone, but we've also mounted a extra hose reel here. So we did this because sometimes the boom may not work, right? So the boom is awesome, but maybe if the vehicle is super tall or whatever it may be, maybe it's not ideal, this allows us to wash pretty much anywhere we would want, but most likely in this area. And I believe this is like 100 feet of hose is what we have on here on a really nice reel. And then right here is our switch for our pump. So it's that easy, right? So our pump's underneath that. It's all wired nicely. You can't even tell it's there. All we have to do is go right here, flick this on. It's completely silent. It's gonna suck up all that water, all that stuff, get it out of here. And then it has actually an auto off feature as well. So I can leave this on and it will continue to suck water out. And then eventually once it's done, it'll shut itself off. But we have a ability to turn that on and off there as well. Next up here, we're gonna go over to the Rising Sun. We are in the land of the TRC Rising Sun. So this area hasn't changed much, but this is now gonna be way more open than it's pretty much ever been. We've always had some type of cabinets or something like that that were loosely kind of being stored around here, but now we've cleaned this up. The lift, which was once right about here, maybe it was a little bit further back, right about here, has been moved. So we used to have our lift section here, that's gone. This is all just nice and clean parking space. And then what we did is we put some of our Viper products over here. So we have our Viper cart that we've been actually using more than we ever thought we would use, straight up. I mean, if we're honest with you, this has become our new roll around for everything, right? Whether it's props for a video, whether it's products that we're setting up, testing, whatever it may be. We all laugh, right? Because the Viper cart is, it's expensive. It's not a cheap cart, but holy crap, if this thing's not built to last, and we're using it so much. So this has been awesome. We have another Viper chair here. We have our Viper fan here. So this is kind of maybe our little Viper corner. And no, we don't sell Viper products currently, but they are our friends. So definitely want to give them a shout out. So over here, Rising Sun wall, this isn't going anywhere. But another thing that's changed is all this stuff. So this was okay, there still needs to be some TRC jankiness here. Let me turn this on. This is normally hanging on the wall. That has actually completely pulled off. Yeah, it's something, it goes like that, kind of. Anyway, this used to be, oh my gosh. We had so many just dirty little secrets and dirty little messes. We were like little hamsters, right? We just like to put stuff away and not think about it. And this back here was super cluttered. It is so much better now. So this is where we store our chairs for events. We have tables for events. Like whenever we're doing training events, we'll store everything in here because we have to have tables and chairs. So that gets stored there. Extra power cables are gonna get stored inside here. We have some extra trussing components, some extra stands. We have our prop hoods that are gonna be in here along with our hood stands. So this is gonna be kind of a combination of everything. We do have our Aqualine gun here. It's a good gun. Don't let Matt tell you that this is not a good gun. It's a good gun. This is what we'll use for probably our 100-foot hose there if we want to just grab and go and quickly wash something. Now right here, we have our controls for our light box. We have a light box here in our white room, which we'll get to here soon. This kind of controls all of that to raise that up and down as needed. But for the most part, we're considering this to be our main, I wouldn't call it our main storage closet, but let's just call it our event storage space is what this particular area is. So that's gonna be this. I think our next stop is going to be the white wall. All right, so this space probably doesn't need any introduction. This is our psych wall, white wall, whatever you wanna call it. This is what we'll use for many, many video shoots, specifically on Amazon or, I don't know, even just detailing shoots. But this is basically a wall that gives the visual that it kind of goes on for infinity, right? You don't know where it ends in the video. It's just gonna be completely white. We have a full lighting system above us, which has the ability to angle, tilt, go up and down as needed. We will probably revise that here in the next little bit because it still has some kinks to work out. But for the most part, we re-epoxy the floors here. So we have new, fresh epoxy on the ground because believe it or not, which you can probably imagine, our previous epoxy setup, you would get that wet, oh, dude. It was like a freaking ice rink inside here. We would usually get the floor cleaner, and we used to just like Tokyo drift inside this area, where now we've added some grip texture to it to keep us from slipping and falling. But this isn't going anywhere. We actually like this space for a lot of different video shoots. This is the countertop that we'll usually use for a lot of Amazon videos. And yeah, it's just a good, nice, clean area for final shots for a vehicle, showing off gloss, showing off, pretty stuff. This is what this space is primarily for. So next up here, let's actually talk about the lighting, and then we'll get into the, the stuff that we know most of you want to see. Okay, so for lighting, we've made some changes here. So we've gone to full Cree lighting, OG spec Cree lighting. We used to have a combination of our house lights in here, as well as a ton of studio lights. And we also had, of course, the hex lights. Rest in peace. They will be missed. Or will they? for this lighting to work, we had to completely eliminate our trussing system. So we used to have trussing that was hanging really low. We had those on straps, and that was kind of our main thing for hanging studio lights on, right? So whenever we were shooting in a particular environment, we would turn on particular studio lights to give us lighting in that section, because honestly, we never had enough lighting, right? Now that problem's been solved. We went with this full Cree lighting here that runs the entire span of the building. You know, we can change all sorts of different stuff on it, but for the most part, it's providing probably the most, like, I'd probably say the most consistent lighting we've ever had in this space. We used to have tons of issues with shadows and things like that. Now that's gone. So at this point in time, trussing has been sucked up to the ceiling. We still have plenty of studio lights that we still have and we'll utilize for shoots and whatnot. But the Cree lighting now is going to be our kind of our main new consistent setup. We'll show you what the Lutron system looks like. All right, so here's our panel. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how this works.
So it's bottom button, you hold it for 3 seconds and it turns off a section. Then just let go and it'll turn it off.
Full of crap, Jimmy. This doesn't work at all.
It just did the wipe or the
did it?
wash bay, yeah.
Oh.
And you click the middle one if you want 75%, which is our preset. Or you click the top one.
Pretty cool. All right, so we learned something new today. So now I have to figure out how to turn our lights on, which is important. All right, so before we move on, the last thing I want to talk about is this was a major change that we had actually made previously to Matt coming here, but oh, I am glowing like an angel right now. Look at me. I'm going to have to rise up and start flying in this building. So the other thing we did, we added AC here. So believe it or not, for years, we did not have air conditioning inside this building, right? So when it was hot, right? When it was cold, it was actually pretty warm. We actually had a heater in here, but we didn't have AC. So we've added full AC units. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, which are now keeping us cool, keeping us warm, and everything in between. So honestly, this place stays like 70 degrees all the time. It's actually nicer in here than it is in our own office space, believe it or not. So we actually try to come out here as often as we can now because it just feels so much nicer. So the AC unit's not a cheap project, but has made this place so much better. So between the lighting and AC, we've now created a pretty nice space. So next up here is our other closet, which we'll head it back over here. Okay, so this whole thing did not exist. This used to be a wall, which we had we'll call it our main like dance floor is what we called it, which had the big TRC backdrop, which had the shelving on it, that had, you know, the branding on everything. Really cool, we love that, but it was just not a really usable, like it wasn't usable, right? For storage, it wasn't usable. For display, it was, but we obviously wanted to change things up and get something different into this area. So what we ended up doing was pulling that out of here and then creating this whole closet. I mean, we created a new wall and all of that, added this door, added this framing. One thing we did not add though was a ceiling, and you'll see that here in just a second. So opening this up, this space is where we store extra cameras, so all of our tripod stuff, we'll have that inside here. We'll have extra TVs for trainings or meetings, and then we're also going to have extra studio lighting, and then we have some extra racking in here for random stuff, right? Because through our live events, like TRCMA, for example, I don't think people realize that this place is like covered in wires. I mean, there's wires everywhere, right? It's a full live streaming event, so we have to have cables, wires, power, all these different things that make those type of events come together. That's all going to be on different systems that are wound up over there. We have more lighting, more props, ladders to be able to reach things. So this is kind of, we're going to call this the nerd closet. This is where all the nerds store all the, you know, all the stuff needed to make this magic happen. So yeah, it's kind of what it is. No ceiling here, right? Because if we put a ceiling on here, then we had to put lighting in here, right? See what we're talking about, right? So there's no privacy, right, if somebody's coming up top, but we've now eliminated the need for adding more lighting. So that's kind of why we did this. So cool closet. Now we're gonna move over to our polisher wall that went on a bit of a diet. So what we wanted to do was basically use this space for all of our cordless polishers, because it also cleans up the place quite a bit, right? So all of our corded stuff is going to be stored away. All of the cordless stuff is going to be visible and kind of easy to grab and go. So, you know, HLR 75, 15, 21. We have the Pixies. We have 15s from Flex here, forced rotation, rotary, all that's going to be here, which is all battery powered, so we can just grab and go as needed there. But yeah, this was just, it used to be full of pads and all sorts of stuff, and it was never super visually appealing, but now I think it looks quite a bit better. And then if you look above here, we do have a lot of our brand partners that will make these really cool signs for and then put them up top there. So next stop here is going to be the main meat and bones, which is the completely new Russo cabinet system. So we'll hop over there. So we're here in the cool kids corner. Now, I want to talk about the cabinets, but you might be wondering what happened to the lift, because I had said that we had moved the lift. Guys, I am standing over the lift right now, believe it or not. So underneath these Swiss tracks is our lift setup. I'm not going to go into full detail on it. We kind of screwed up the whole process. You can go back and watch it in our video. We'll probably like link it right here or something, so you can go back and check it out. But yes, there was a mistake that we made on the lift setup, but the idea was that we could put Swiss tracks over the lift, so in this space it would look nice and clean, but if we ever needed to raise a car, we would just pop up these Swiss tracks and then be able to do that and work as needed. But we're still figuring out what that setup's gonna look like. Our lift controls are just right over here for the twin bush, and that allows us to use that. So now let's talk about the cabinets. So these are the very expensive and very well built Russo cabinets that Matt said we have to have. We purchased this full corner array. Cost-wise, I don't know how much, I don't know what the exact cost was, but I know that they were expensive. The flooring we added in here is the Swiss tracks, rib tracks flooring. I probably should have started with that, but this flooring replaced our previous Swiss tracks, which was the flat Swiss tracks that we had in here, which was like blue and gray, and it got super grimy and super dirty all the time. We could never keep up on it. This rib tracks is way better, that has the curves on it, so a lot of that dirt can fall. So we went with the slate gray in here with the black, if you're curious about the color. But yes, the gray looks good with the slate gray Swiss tracks. So here in the system, we'll just kind of walk you through it. I don't think I'm going to open up every single drawer, because we also have a video on our channel where Matt walks you through the organization and all that. But opening these up, you know, you can see that Matt went through and did a lot of organization, right? So all of our pads, battery packs, all that kind of stuff has been organized to, you know, OG spec. These particular cabinets got a little damaged in shipping, hence this dent here, and hence this. It's all getting figured out, so we'll get those replaced. But what we've done here is created some kind of brand cabinets, right? So remember I was saying in the Saber setup that the idea is that the brands we're testing are over there, but once it's, you know, we brought it on to us, it's gonna live over here. G-Technic, for example, has lived with us for quite some time, so they're staying inside here. We have Rupes right there. Over here, we have the big boy, the PNS cabinet. So we have PNS inside here. And I mean, the list goes on, all right? We got Optum over here. This is going to be kind of our showcase, but also the products that we're going to be using in a lot of videos. So we'll use and abuse this stuff, but when we need to fill up, we'll go back over to the Levra and use that system to fill up the bottles, bring them back over here and keep things looking nice and pretty. Below that here, we have, you know, drawers with plenty of brushes in them. So we have Detail Factory, then we have Rad Company stuff right here. Some of these drawers aren't completely full yet, because going back to trying to leave, you know, room for growth. But we have clay scrubbers in here. We have more brushes inside here. Down over here, we've got TRC microfiber, wash mitts. We have our applicators. And then going down, we've got microfiber towels for days. And this is now kind of how we're gonna be storing our towels, because before we were doing it in those totes. It was a nightmare, it sucked, we never wanna do that again. This makes way more sense. And then if you're wondering, okay, what do we do with the dirty towels and stuff? We have a cool pull out here where we will store our polishing pads that are used and there are towels that are used, and these go from a hamper to the washer as needed, and we can wash those. What we did though on the countertops was we PPF these immediately. So going back to what I was saying previously with the stainless steel, we didn't PPF that one yet, but we will. We PPF'd these as soon as the OEM wrap came off. We put new PPF on this, and It's nice. It's really nice. We used Avery Dennison PPF, and this will keep it from getting scratched up, and it could still possibly get dinged, right, if something gets dropped on it or hammered on it, but it's going to keep it from getting scratched. And what's nice is that it's PPF, so we can use like all these different chemicals to like wipe over it and make it feel nice and smooth, and Starsky and Hutch off this thing. So over here, more cabinets with more stuff in them. So we're leaving again space for growth and whatnot. But Sternogloss inside here, another big cabinet where we've got some Koch Chemie products, and yeah, these are all going to be full. Now, tools were something that we also needed as well, because we had talked about this a while back. Our tool room, it was a mess. It was never really great to begin with. So the idea was if we spent enough on tools and got a nice tool set, we'd probably take better care of them, and I think that's true. So opening this up here, we got a full sonic array of tools from Obsessed Garage. So every tool and more that we'll probably ever need, want, or use is going to be in this full setup here. So that's going to be screwdrivers, pry bars, all sorts of different stuff. And I'll kind of squat down here. I mean, dude, this is, we sell detailing products. We probably don't need all this stuff. But if we're ever pulling a car in here and we're ever doing like a crazy detail or having to do disassembly or anything like that, we're gonna have what we need to be able to do the job. And so yeah, just having all these tools is gonna be super, super nice. So full array of sonic tools, really excited about that. And then over here, power tools, right? So we've been testing these flex tools, and you know what? They're freaking awesome. They're amazing. I mean, these are amazing competitors to what Milwaukee is putting out. So we have the full flex lineup here. These look really cool as well. I love this gray. So we have charging station, vacuum, fan. We have impact drivers, impact wrenches, drills, lights, right? So if we're ever doing any type of detail, we need some extra light. We have lights inside here. We have all of that. So that's been organized. And then also, cool idea, matte double-sided tape this stuff. So as far as pulling out batteries and stuff like that is needed, we can now just pop that out without having to move the whole thing, right? So everything's gonna slide right out like that. Nice little charging station. Then below here, we've got more space, right? For room for growth. Again, going back to we didn't want to just fill things up to fill things up. That was some, I would say, pretty good advice from Matt, right? Just because we have space doesn't mean we need to necessarily fill it. I think this is pretty much it. And if you have any feedback on the place, right, good or bad, let us know down in the comments, right? Maybe what's your favorite new features of the new TRC Studio? Let us know. So as always, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did like it, please make sure to give us a big thumbs up and hit that like button. Subscribe down below for more, and stay tuned for more videos right here at The Rag Company.